Today I'm going to talk to you about all the building blocks that you need to build all tenses. And this is for all European languages. So the concepts that I'm telling you about will be the same in English and in German and in French and in Spanish and so on and so forth. Okay, so when you learn grammar, it's really important that you always learn it first in your strong language, which in your case is English. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm teaching you all these concepts, which will be very good for your English, that you can then transfer for your other languages. Okay, so let's have a look. It's 9 elements that you need to learn. I think you're all able to do that. The first concept is, what is a verb? Okay, so a verb is an action word. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward. And I'm giving you a couple of examples. To run, to sing, to be able to. Okay, so next one. What is a simple verb? Okay, so we have the word simple. So what does simple mean? Simple means one of. If you think of the word double, that really means two of. Okay, so simple means one of. Yeah, so it's verbs that have one element. Yeah, so here we go. I eat, we eat, he is. Can you see that the verb is made out of one element? Yeah, eat, ate, is. Unfortunately or fortunately, most verbs are not simple verbs. Okay, so most verbs are what you call compound verbs. And as you can guess, a compound verb is a verb that is made out of more than one element. Okay, so let's have a look at the examples. We can see it. Okay, this compound verb is made out of 1, 2 elements. The dog must see it. Okay, 1, 2. Let's go to one that has got more. They would have seen them. 1, 2, 3. So this compound verb has got 3 elements. Okay. She will have needed to see him. This is a very long compound verb. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now, if I ask you the question, how many verbs have you got here? The answer will be 1, okay? 1 verb. So you need to really be aware that those compound verbs are not 4 or 5 verbs. They are one verb made out of various bits, okay? So, and this is really what compound means. So whenever you hear the word compound, what it means is you have one unit, one box. Can you see? That's just one box. But when you look closer, it's made out of various subunits. Okay, and this is the same with the verbs. The same in chemistry with compounds. If you have ever seen a compound eye of a fly, it's the same principle. It's one big eye, but when you look closer, there's lots of little eyes. So here, this one verb, if you look very close and you count, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. Okay, that's a compound verb. Okay, so auxiliary verbs. What you need to know is that all compound verbs have an auxiliary verb or 2. But what is an auxiliary verb? So what does auxiliary mean? Auxiliary means help. Helper verb. If I say to you an auxiliary nurse, it's a nurse that helps another nurse. Yeah. So or who helps out. Yeah. So an auxiliary verb is a verb that helps another verb. It has no meaning on its own, okay, but it tells you more about the main verb. Okay, all compound verbs have auxiliary verbs. So if I say to you, right, you will see him, so the main verb is the verb to see. Will on its own doesn't mean anything. What it does mean is hang on, that main verb will be done in the future. Okay, if we have a look at the next one, the house has seen better days. Okay, right. So we have the main verb as the verb to see, and has tells you that this has been done in the past, a recent past. Yeah. One more, if I go and tell you, right, my sister is seeing her. So it's about, the main action is the verb, the action to see. But this auxiliary verb tells you that it's an ongoing action, okay? So it gives you information about the main verb. This is what an auxiliary verb is, okay? There's many types of auxiliary verbs. We're not going to go into it. I just want you to understand in essence what it is. And it's a supporting verb that helps the main verb. Okay, right. So next concept is what? All right. So here, the question that I wanted to ask you, what do all these examples have in common? Okay, and the answer is they all have the same verb. Yeah, every single example is about the action of seeing. Yeah, we can see it. It's about, you know, how you do the seeing. The dog must see it. It's about how you do the seeing. Okay, you will see him. So this is about how you do the seeing, which is in the future tense. Yeah, they would have seen them. So here the seeing, it tells you how you do the seeing, which is a potential future way of doing the action. Yeah, so this is a very interesting sort of aspect of how the verb is built, but it's really simple. I want you to simplify it. I don't want you to get hung up over anything else. You just need to know that compound verbs have got an auxiliary verb that supports the main verb. That's all you need to know. Okay, so what is the subject, right? The subject in a sentence is the doer of the verb. Simple as that. So let's have a look at a couple of subjects. You will see him. Okay, so who does the seeing? The answer is you. My sister is seeing her. So who does the seeing? The answer is my sister. Okay. The dog must see it. Who does the seeing? The dog. So notice that the subject is not always a person. It can be an animal. It can be an object. Here, for instance, the house has seen better days. So who does the seeing? The house. So it's, you know, this is another important concept for you to remember when you get a bit more serious about your languages. The subject is the doer of the verb. Now, what is conjugation? Yeah, if you're watching this video, you have probably done plenty of conjugation already. And what conjugation means is when you give the verb a subject. That's all it means. So conjugation comes from Latin, and it means to join together. In fact, in many languages, to have a conjugate, it happens in lots of languages, Latin languages. It means to be married, okay, to have a spouse, a partner. So conjugation means two elements that are joined together, okay? That's all it means. So here it's the verb and the subject. So I take any verb to sing and I'm going to give it a subject. So I sing, therefore the verb is conjugated. That's all it means. So please stop the video and read what it means. Okay, so we're nearly there. I said 9 elements and we have talked about 6. 7, what is the infinitive? All right, okay, so the infinitive is the base verb. And one particular thing about the infinitive is that it is the verb without the subject, okay? So let's have a look at a few infinitives. Here, yeah, so here at the top we have 4 infinitives, to run. Okay, so can you see who does the running? We don't know, so it's in the infinitive. To sing, who does the singing? Infinitive. Okay, so infinitive is the base verb, and the most important aspect of the infinitive is that it has no subject. Okay. 8, a past participle. Okay, so this is also a very essential part of the verb. Okay, so and verb conjugation, right? So what is the past participle? And the answer is it's the bit that goes with the auxiliary verb to have, and it cannot go on its own. Okay, so if you think about it, right, what bit goes with to have, right? I have done. Okay, done is the past participle. You couldn't say I done because that would be incorrect. Yeah, so the past participle cannot go on its own. As I said, this applies to all languages. Here you have a few examples. I have done it. So done is the past participle. Have is the auxiliary verb. I had written it. That's the past participle. That's the auxiliary verb. I will have seen it. That's the past participle. That's the auxiliary verb to have, and so on and so forth. So the past participle is the element that you join with the auxiliary verb to have in order to build another tense. Okay, usually a past tense is as the name tells you. So there's another one which is very important in English, and it's the present participle, also called gerund in other languages. Yeah, the present participle. It's not the past participle, it's the present participle. And the answer to that is it's in the ing form of the verb. Okay, and this one needs the auxiliary verb to be, and it can also not go on its own. So let's have a look at some examples. He is running. So running is the present participle or gerund in other languages, and that's the auxiliary verb to be. Visiting, present participle, and this is the auxiliary verb to be. We're not thinking about it. Present participle, and this is the auxiliary verb to be. As you can see, they're all compound verbs. And this is it. Essentially, this is all you need to know in order to build every single tense there is. Okay? Here we go back to what the auxiliary verb is. Okay? The auxiliary verb supports either the infinitive, the past participle, or the present participle. So can you see here, all these examples of compound verbs will either have an infinitive, a past participle, or a present participle. Okay, so let's have a look. We can see it. That's the infinitive. Must see, infinitive. Is seeing, that's the present participle. Has seen, okay, we said have plus the past participle. Here's another have, therefore I know that that's a past participle, and so on. Okay, so please study these concepts really well. Now there is a test for you. Okay, but before we do the test, I actually want to, I want to prove my theory that this applies to all languages. Okay, so that you don't think I'm crazy. So here we go. This is a bit of a, here I'm going to do this. This is what you call a conjugator. So notice that this conjugator has got quite a lot of, languages in it. So let's start with English, of course. I'm hoping that you can see this okay. And I'm going to pick you know, this verb, to buy. Okay, so all these adverbs are so annoying. So let's have a look. Look at this. The infinitive is to buy. The past participle, bought. All right, but if you have a look here, I am buying. Here's a present participle. This is a simple verb. This is a simple verb. Okay. And then if I scroll down, okay, participle, present participle, buying. Past participle, bought. Okay, so this is English, which is also, it's very important that as English speakers, you understand your own language before you really look into other languages. Let's have a look at German, for instance, okay? So which one do we want? Geben. Geben means to give. Okay, the infinitive is geben. The present participle, gebend. Okay, I'm also a German teacher. The past participle, gegeben. So notice that the first thing they give you is those three concepts. Here, auxiliary verb, haben. Okay, so I also tell you about auxiliary verbs. So these concepts are essential for any foreign language. Let's go to, for instance, Portuguese. Why not? And we have, for instance, ter. And now I don't speak Portuguese, but I understand it because I speak Spanish. Again, the more languages you speak, the easier it will be to learn other languages because there's so many elements that, you know, in common. They have so many elements in common. So what have we got here? Infinitive ter, which means to have. Gerund, I told you that another word for present participle is gerund, okay? Tendo, and then the past participle is that one. So I'm hoping that I've made, you know, my point about how, you know, how important it is for you to really understand these concepts. And long term, it will really make your life very easy. So test. Here's one sentence and I want you to answer the following question. So I have seen what you can do when they are willing. So stop the video, try and answer all these questions and then I'll give you the answer. So how many verbs have we got in this sentence? The answer is 3. Have seen, one compound verb, can do, second compound verb, are willing, third compound verb. So the answer is 3. What is the subject of each verb? Okay, so what's the subject of each verb? So let's have a look. I have seen. Who does the seeing? Okay, I. I is the subject in that verb. You can do. Who does the doing? You. So you is the subject. They are willing. Who is willing? They. Okay, so the subjects are I, you, and they. Notice that the subject tends to be just before the verb, so the positioning also helps. Name all the auxiliary verbs. So the answer is have, can, and are. Okay. What is seen? Okay, so seen is a past participle because it goes with the auxiliary verb to have. What about do? Okay, well, the answer there, it's a little bit tricky in English. In other languages, you identify the infinitive very easily. But because English doesn't have endings, okay, it's not that straightforward necessarily. But it's infinitive, okay? And what is willing? ING. And the answer is it's a present participle. So I hope that you have survived this video, and I hope even more that you will learn every single element that we've been talking about.